this gorgeous cardinal that is sitting on snowy branches, so it's a great winter theme, or you can paint it at Christmas time. Either way, get your paints and we'll do it together. So I have this tropical set here. You can use woodlands and use foxberry or your own red. And we're going to get started by just applying with our small water brush with the fine tip here. We're going to apply that paint along the outside of the head area here, just making sure not to get into the eyes or this beak area. And we'll have to come and do another pass, most likely, to get this to look a little deeper red than maybe this kind of cherry color. So it just depends on what you've got in your color set. And I'm leaving that white right there for now to add a little accent. Now I'm going to come along the edge here. Leave a little white there, and some of these lines are just to guide you so that you make sure to get that shape. And make sure that that this bird looks like his belly is round here. So we're just applying this paint. You don't have to go around all of these lines. They're just to guide us in a second layer for the most part. But I am following that with some of my strokes of my brush just to kind of discover where those lines are and kind of get this shape and form in here. And to deepen this up, I could add a little bit of green just to get more of a realistic color in here. And for right now, I'm going to go ahead and pull some of this pigment away from that center area and kind of deposit it up here. I want it to be darker at the neckline, and we can make it darker along the side here, but we want it to be light at the center. We'll go back in and add some more details here and connect those lines in a minute. So this is where we have to just trust the process. And we will go down here and get the feathers of his tail and just watch these branches because it's behind this branch here and we don't want to paint over that because it could be brown. It may not be a tragedy. You could go over it later. See, I just made a mistake, and now I'm going to just extend my line a little bit. Those are just as guides, and no one's going to be looking that close up. Okay, so we've got the form of our bird down right now, and we can go in and I've got a black in here. If you have this tropical set, then you may want to use this ocean and hibiscus to mix together a gray, which is a dark blue. And we really do want that to dry, so I want you to wait before you do that because it'll get everywhere. So we're just going to kind of pop that in for right now and leave it. We can really just start working on our branches so that we stay out of the way of our wet, very red bird. Pick what kind of color you want for your branches. It may be more of a gray-brown. Provided a strip for you in your Take and Paint, or if you have this in a book somewhere, the back page has a place where you can test your colors out. See what color you want your branch. And I am going to draw thin little lines that follow, say, the top of this branch, not here, that's snow, And if you paint over it, it's okay. No one will know that it was supposed to be snow. But you do want to kind of think ahead and see where your lines are and what's what. And it may be helpful to use a very light color at first. You can always go over it that way if you have to erase anything with your paper towel. It's easier to do. Now I'm going to go on the bottom line of that branch and I'll fill it in later. And because that's touching the red, just be sure that your red is pretty dry. And I'm the one that drew this, but sometimes I can lose track of my lines. So that is a branch and that is snow. And I think these are just branches and no snow on that on your own. Okay, so I took a break from my bird here and it is nice and dry. And so I'm still going to, though, finish these little branches here. I'm going to go back over my bird. And I want him to look like he has feathers and some dimension here. And I did mix up a little bit of a kind of darker red, deeper color here, just to add into these wings. I can either add more straight from the box and or I can apply some of this deeper red in here and then along this underside as well. And I don't want those lines to show too much, but it'll be nice to have sort of this layered texture in here. And now I will go and do this black because this is so dry. I can now go in and get around the eye very, very carefully. Like so, and I've got this over here that I'll go ahead and fill in again. And we'll do like that, and then we've got this beak here. It's kind of a little bit of red and orange, and you'll really want that black to dry first. So when that's dry, you can come in here. Mine is still a little wet. I'm letting that kind of blend together. And now I'll move on to my kind of snow color. Actually, I have in here a hurricane and this ocean, so I'm going to use the hurricane very lightly across some of this snow. And I will be putting a sky in here, so just keep that in mind. You'll kind of want two different colors, and you can use gray as well. I've got this gray here. You can see what that could look like at the top of the snow. I just think it looks prettier for it to be a little bit blue. You can see like so to give it a little bit of highlight. Didn't quite get under the eye well enough there. Okay. So we've kind of, you can see how adding those things after it dries, those layers of color kind of get a few different areas here that starts to give that sort of feathery look. You can even sort of dapple in that texture along there. Just putting the brush down in a certain way can give it that texture look. And now I'm going to show you how I would go around the outside. If you wanted to paint some kind of a snowy sky, I would go with a wet brush. Do not get it too close to the bird here. Sort of put a little bit of water. And now just putting a tiny bit of blue pigment in, already watered down blue pigment inside water on my paper. And it doesn't have to be all filled in because some can be sky, some of it is cloud or a snowy mist. So it does not have to be solid. See, I left a little bit of space in there and that gives it a nice texture. Fine. Like that. And then now hopefully this is dry enough here to kind of add some of that black back in because my orange traveled right into that area. Make this a little bit more prominent.